them all what I'm made up. Strut down the hall, won't stop till I get enough.
Well, this week, the film world lost a real singular presence with the passing of Val Kilmer.
Yeah, definitely a unique figure in Hollywood.
Right. And I think a lot of people were, obviously saddened by this news. He passed away at the age of 65 on Tuesday, April 1st.
Yeah, I think the news really did resonate with a lot of people. And for this deep dive, we thought it would be interesting to kind of go through some of the reactions, the tributes from his friends and colleagues, his fellow actors, directors, all the people who worked with, and see if we can get a better sense of his impact and, kind of what made him so special.
Yeah, and we're drawing these reactions from a variety of places. Primarily social media people took to Twitter and Instagram to share their thoughts.
Of course.
And publications like People magazine as well.
Right. It seems like everyone who had ever met him wanted to say something.
Exactly. So that's our mission today, to really try to understand what made Val Kilmer Val Kilmer.
Yeah, explore that legacy a little bit.
Okay, so let's start with just sort of the basic facts of his passing. The confirmation came from his daughter, Mercedes Kilmer, who spoke to the New York Times. And
right.
As we said, he died on Tuesday, April 1st at the age of 65. And the cause of death was pneumonia. Now, it's also important to remember, I think, that he had previously faced a battle with throat cancer. He was diagnosed back in 2014.
Right. I think that was a pretty well-documented battle.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But he had recovered from that.
He had, yeah, so it's, makes it all the more poignant, I suppose, that this, was ultimately what took him.
Yeah, and I think what was so striking immediately in the wake of this news was just this huge outpouring of tributes.
It was really remarkable.
From all corners of, the film industry, from people he'd worked with, years and years ago, from people who'd worked with him recently, directors, actors, producers, you name it.
Yeah, and from different stages of his career, too, right? Like you said, it wasn't just people from one particular era.
Right. And as we were going through these tributes, some really clear themes started to emerge.
Oh, definitely.
Over and over again, people mentioned his bravery.
Yeah.
And I think, that encompasses not just his health struggles, which of course were very public, but also just, his fearlessness as an artist.
Right. A willingness to take risks.
Right. And his talent, of course, that goes without saying.
Of course, he was immensely talented.
But I think what was really nice to see was how many people mentioned his humor.
Yes. His sense of humor seemed to have made a real impact.
It really did. It clearly left a mark on people. And then, of course, the enduring impact of his performances.
Right. These roles that people still talk about and remember so vividly.
Exactly. And I think, those themes really speak to something beyond just, acknowledging the passing of a famous person.
They're really revealing.
They point to some sort of, deep connection or admiration for his character, or his dedication to his craft.
A real appreciation for who he was as a person.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's worth looking at some of these specific tributes because that's where I think we really start to see the nuances of his legacy coming through.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some of those.
Okay, so I want to start with Cher.
Okay.
They had a relationship back in the 80s.
Right, a very famous relationship.
Right, it's kind of part of Hollywood lore.
Yes.
And her tribute on X was poor Cher, let's just say.
I saw that one. It was quite something.
She wrote, "We'll miss you, you. We're funny, crazy, pain in the ass, great friend kids, you, brilliant as Mark Twain, brave here during your sickness."
Wow. Yeah, that really is classic Cher.
Right. I mean, that pain in the ass comment, really hints at, real history there, right?
Like a complex relationship. Yeah, but obviously with a lot of love and affection.
Yeah, I mean, the overwhelming feeling there is deep affection and a real recognition of his, brilliance and his courage.
I think what strikes me about that tribute is the honesty, right? Like, it's not a carefully crafted statement. It feels very raw and very real. Like, she just had to get those feelings out.
Right, just sort of stream of consciousness Cher.
Exactly. And I think that juxtaposition of, the playful jab with the genuine praise really tells you something about the dynamic they must have had.
Right, and maybe also just about, the intensity of his personality.
Yeah, that he was someone who could evoke such strong emotion.
Right. And then, we have Michael Douglas, who worked with Kilmer on The Ghost of the Darkness.
Oh, yes, a great film.
Back in 1996, almost 30 years ago.
Wow, time flies.
It really does. And he took to Instagram to, share his tribute, which was a little more, traditional.
It's a little more formal, yeah.
Right. He said it was an honor to have collaborated with Val and that he'll be greatly missed. and that, his legacy will live on forever through his films.
A classic Hollywood send-off.
Right, exactly. But I think, it really speaks to, the professional respect he commanded in the industry.
For sure. Michael Douglas is a legend himself. And for him to recognize Kilmer's legacy in that way, I think speaks volumes.
Yeah, it really does.
And it makes you wonder, do those more formal statements from these really established figures carry a different kind of weight than, say, the more personal messages we see on social media?
That's a really good point. Do they hit differently?
Yeah, because they're speaking to his place in, the history of cinema.
Right, a more lasting kind of impact.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Michelle Monaghan, who starred with him in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, I love that film.
Such a great movie. So clever.
Yeah, really sharp and funny.
She shared a very heartfelt tribute on Instagram.
Right.
She described him as a kind, curious, committed, rebellious, and radical gent.
What a description.
Right. It's quite a collection of adjectives.
It paints such a vivid picture.
Yeah. And she went on to say that she learned so much from him and treasured their time together and called him an artist through and through.
It sounds like he was someone who really invested himself fully in his work.
Yeah, and really connected with his fellow actors.
And I love that phrase she used, rebellious and radical gent. It's so evocative.
It is.
It suggests, someone who wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, but who also had this, certain charm and maybe even a traditional side to him.
Right, a little bit of a contradiction.
Exactly. And the fact that she emphasizes learning from him really speaks to, his depth of understanding of the craft of acting and his willingness to share that with others.
Right. The generosity of spirit.
Yeah, definitely.
Nicolas Cage's statement to People magazine was also really powerful.
I saw that one, yeah.
He expressed his sadness, of course, and he called Kilmer a genius actor.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up.
High praise.
Yeah. He remembered working with him on Bad Lieutenant and admired his commitment and his sense of humor, which, again, we're seeing that theme come up again.
It's really interesting how many people have brought up his humor.
Yeah, and this is really striking. Cage actually said that he believes Kilmer should have won the Oscar for The Doors.
Wow, that's a big statement.
I know, coming from another Oscar-winning actor.
Right. He knows what it takes to deliver an award-worthy performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for him to single out that performance in particular.
It must have really resonated with him.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you think about, what was it about Kilmer's approach to that role that made it so special?
Yeah, what made it stand out even all these years later?
Was it, the total immersion in the character, the raw intensity?
Right, the way he just completely embodied Jim Morrison.
Exactly. Josh Brolin also shared a tribute on Instagram.
I think I saw that when he posted a photo, right?
He did,
Yeah.
yeah. And his caption was short, but really powerful. He called Kilmer a smart, challenging, brave, uber-creative firecracker.
That's a great image.
It is, right?
Yeah.
It really gives you a sense of his energy, his intensity.
That word firecracker really captures something.
It does. And he said he was going to miss him and hope to see him in the heavens.
It's a very personal message.
Yeah, very heartfelt.
I think the brevity of it is interesting, too. It's like he chose those words very carefully.
Yeah, like each one really mattered.
Exactly. And the combination of smart and firecracker suggests someone who was, intellectually sharp, but also just had this spark, this dynamism.
Right, and something that comes up again and again in these tributes.
It does this sense of a really vibrant personality.
Right, and then we have Josh Gad, who offered more of a fan's perspective, I think.
Oh.
He thanked Kilmer on Twitter for defining so many of the movies of his childhood and called him an icon.
And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way.
I think so, Chad.
Right, for a whole generation, Kilmer was a major figure in those films that shaped their love of movies.
Yeah, Batman, Top Gun.
The Doors, of course.
Right, and it's a reminder of how powerful those early film experiences can be.
Absolutely, they stay with you.
They really do.
And they shape your understanding of storytelling and performance.
Yeah, for sure. Matthew Modine shared a really fascinating anecdote on X.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's really interesting. He talked about a chance encounter he had with Kilmer back in 1985.
Wow, way back.
Yeah, they were both at this place called The Source. I guess it was some kind of, hangout spot.
Okay.
And Modine believes that this random meeting actually led to him being cast in Full Metal Jacket.
Really? Wow. So Kilmer played a part in that.
That's what he thinks. Yeah, it's
Right.
kind of one of those sliding doors moments, right?
It is. It really highlights the interconnectedness of the industry.
Yeah, and how these seemingly insignificant interactions can have these huge ripple effects.
Yeah, sometimes it's all about being in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely, and it could give you a little glimpse into, Kilmer's presence, even early in his career before some of his most famous roles.
Right, already making an impact.
Yeah. And then we have a perspective from behind the camera, Michael Mann, who directed Kilmer in Heat.
Oh, yes. A brilliant
An
film.
incredible film.
Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer. I mean, come on.
It's an amazing lineup.
Yeah, one of the best crime thrillers ever made.
Absolutely. And Mann spoke to The Hollywood Reporter and talked about how he always marveled at Kilmer's range as an actor.
His versatility was remarkable.
It really was. And Mann used this really interesting phrase. He talked about the brilliant variability within the powerful current of Val's possessing and expressing character.
Wow, that's a mouthful, but I think I get what he means.
Right. It's like he's saying that Kilmer had this, this incredible force, this power as an actor. But within that, there was all this nuance and subtlety.
Yeah, like he could convey so much with just a look or a gesture.
Right. And Mann also expressed his sadness after Kilmer's long battle with illness.
It sounds like he had a lot of respect for him as a person as well as an actor.
Definitely. And coming from a director of Mann's caliber, that observation about his acting is really significant.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not just saying, oh, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's talking about a specific kind of transformative power that Kilmer had.
Right, this ability to fully inhabit a role and bring this incredible depth to it.
Exactly. Billy Zane, who starred with Kilmer in Tombstone, posted a tribute on Instagram.
Yeah, another classic.
Oh, yeah, such a great movie. And, of course, Kilmer's performance as Doc Holliday is legendary.
It really is. He steals every scene he's in.
He does. And Zane shared a photo of them together from the film. And his caption said that Kilmer's filmography captures the essence of a true artist by every definition.
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
It is. It really emphasizes, the artistic integrity he brought to his work.
Yeah, like he wasn't just going through the motions. He was really committed to his craft.
Exactly. And Tombstone holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
It does. It's a beloved film.
And I think Zane's tribute really reinforces this idea that Kilmer wasn't just an entertainer.
Right. He was a true artist.
Yeah, he approached his work with real, artistic sensibility and left a mark on film history.
He really did.
And then finally, I have to share this story that Jennifer Tilly told about Kilmer's audition for The Doors.
Oh, this is a good one.
So apparently it was a huge cattle call audition.
Yeah.
Tons of actors, all vying for the role of Jim Morrison.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And they were running way behind schedule, hours behind.
Oh, no.
And then all of a sudden, a 60s convertible comes screeching to a halt outside.
Oh, my God.
Blasting Doors music.
No way.
And out steps Val Kilmer, barefoot, shirtless, in leather pants with this wild hair.
You're kidding?
I'm not. And Tilly said that after that entrance, nobody else stood a chance.
I can believe it.
Right? I mean, talk about commitment.
Talk about understanding the character.
It's an incredible story.
It really is. It perfectly captures that kind of mythical quality he brought to that role.
Right, like he was embodying Jim Morrison even before he officially got the part.
Exactly, and it speaks to that level of dedication that people keep talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear he didn't just show up and say the lines, he really put in the work.
He did, and it showed in his performances.
So, as we look back at all these roles that are being mentioned over and over again, Top Gun.
Of course, the iconic volleyball scene.
I know, right? The Doors. Batman Forever.
Ghost in the Darkness. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Bad Lieutenant, Heat, Tombstone. I mean, it's such a diverse range of roles.
It really is. He played everything from action heroes to rock stars to tormented cowboys.
Right. And what's so striking is his versatility.
Absolutely. He wasn't confined to any one genre or type of character.
He could do it all and do it well.
It seems effortless, but we know from these tributes that he put a lot of thought and effort into his work.
He did. He really took it seriously.
So, as we weave together all these threads, this picture of Val Kilmer as, a funny, crazy friend, a brilliant artist, a brave individual, a rebellious spirit, a genius actor.
Right.
What do you think are the key takeaways from all of this?
Yeah. What does it all add up to?
Well, I think these tributes paint a picture of a truly unforgettable and impactful person.
Yeah, someone who really left a mark.
He did someone who wasn't afraid to take risks in his art and probably in his life as well.
And clearly he touched a lot of lives, both personally and through his work.
He did There's a real sense of loss in these tributes, but also a deep appreciation for what he gave to the world.
And it's so evident how personal these tributes are, right?
They are. It's not just the standard Hollywood, condolences.
Right. It feels more genuine than that.
Much more. There's a real sense of connection that people felt with him and his work.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to, the kind of person he was beyond the fame and the iconic roles.
Exactly. He was a human being who made a difference in people's lives.
Right. And, as we've taken this deep dive into these reactions to his passing, seen through the eyes of his peers, it really leaves you with a thought.
What's that?
Just consider, the power of an artist to leave such a lasting impression.
It's quite something.
Not just on, a global audience through their work, but on the individuals they encounter.
Yeah, the people they collaborate with, the people they touch along the way.
Right. And, think about the artists who've touched your own life.
That's a good exercise.
Whose work has stayed with you, whose presence has made a difference.
It's worth reflecting on.
What is it about their artistry, their spirit, their unique approach that continues to resonate with you?
Yeah, what makes them so special?
It's a powerful thing to contemplate.
It really is.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the legacy of Val Kilmer.
A true original.
He was rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till